Okay, if we can get everybody to be seated, we can get started here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to the second day of the Northeast PV Roundtable. This morning's session is titled Solar in New York, Progress and Promise. And what I wanted to do was again, really quickly introduce the co-organizers with us. We have Peter Trimarchi here from Whiteman, Osterman, Hanna, who's helped organize this part of the event. We have Wilden Fishman from ISIS, New York Solar Energy Society, that's also here. Thank you, Wilden. So, this is going to be an interesting discussion on what's going on in New York. You've all heard a lot of the positives. Governor Andrew Cuomo has made a lot of, or has made it his priority to help, the New York Sun Initiative, and you're going to hear a lot about that. I'll start off with the first speaker. It is Tom Comden. Tom is actually sitting in for Bob Hallman, who was called into New York City today. Tom is Assistant Secretary for Energy in the administration of Governor Andrew Cuomo. He also coordinates the activities and initiatives of the New York Power Authority, the Long Island Power Authority, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, and the Public Service Commission. Previously, Tom served as Deputy Secretary for Energy in the administration of former Governor David Paterson. Prior to joining the Executive Chamber, Tom was a policy analyst in the New York State Attorney General's Environmental Protection Bureau. Prior to joining the AG's office, he was the policy director at the New York League of Conservation Voters. Tom received his Bachelor of Science in Geology from the University of Albany, which is right here, and his Master of Public Administration from Baruch College. Tom.
Very much. Thank you, Pradeep, and thank you all for being here. I'll keep my remarks at a high level just to introduce where the Governor Cuomo is on energy policy, big picture. And you'll hear later this morning from Gil Quinones from the New York Power Authority, Frank Murray from NYSERDA, Michael Volz from the Long Island Power Authority, as well as Carol Murphy from Mason, New York, that will provide greater context and greater detail on New York's solar policies. At the big picture, the governor's focus has been and continues to be on economic recovery, job growth, and economic development. To achieve this, we are working in the context of providing for comprehensive, reliable, affordable, and clean energy policy. We believe very much in the principle that economic development and environmental protection go hand in hand. They are not at war, as some may try to argue. And in the energy space, our focus has been to create an atmosphere that encourages private investment in the clean energy economy and energy efficiency, renewable energy, and advanced energy research and development. It is with these clean energy investments that we can forcefully demonstrate the principle of economic development and environmental protection going hand in hand. One of the governor's first big energy wins was last year with the passage of the Power New York Act of 2011. The law has three main components. First, we created a one-stop streamlined permitting process for power plants, the first time we've had such a streamlined process in nearly a decade. And the new process includes new protections for environmental justice communities and included the first ever carbon performance standard for new power plants. Through the streamlined and certain permitting process, we're encouraging developers to come forward with their projects, and through the new, more stringent environmental standards, we're having them come forward with the right projects. Second, the Power New York created the first in the nation statewide on-bill financing program to encourage energy efficiency investments. Homeowners and businesses can now obtain loans from NYSERDA for energy efficiency improvements and pay the loan back through surcharges on their utility bills. This breaks down the barrier to energy efficiency investments by requiring no cash up front for these types of projects. And the monthly savings from efficiency measures exceed the loan surcharge, so these projects literally pay for themselves. Third, as many of you are probably familiar, the law required NYSERDA to do an independent solar study. The work that went into this study, which Frank will discuss some more, was very helpful in shaping the governor's approach to solar development in New York, which I'll get to in a moment. This year, we've made additional progress to foster the clean energy economy. In his Energy Highway Initiative, the governor convened a task force to develop recommendations to facilitate greater private investment in energy infrastructure. The task force has received more than 100 project ideas representing over 25,000 megawatts of new transmission and generation projects statewide, which will help us meet our goals to modernize our energy infrastructure and reduce transmission congestion. The task force is issuing an action plan with detailed recommendations to the governor this fall. On energy efficiency, the governor announced $800 million in new financing is available through the New York Power Authority to retrofit state and local buildings over the next 4 years. We are striving to reduce energy use in state buildings by 20% over that time, and like on-bill financing, we will pay NYPA back through the energy savings we achieve in the state buildings. And last but not least, the governor announced the New York Sun Initiative in his State of the State this year. And I'm pleased to report that we are making great progress toward his goal of quadrupling the annual rate of solar installations by 2013. We recognize that while solar PV is more expensive than many other renewable technologies at present, it offers unique benefits, including being coincident with peak, creating in-state economic activity, and lowering energy costs for participating residents and businesses. Our charge under New York Sun was to increase investment in solar, but to also protect ratepayers while we try to maximize the benefits of solar deployment. To implement the initiative, we've marshaled all of New York's institutional strengths very quickly, working with all of our energy partners in government to expand their respective roles in energy and solar energy deployment. First, with NYSERDA. NYSERDA, which administers our solar programs statewide except for on the Long Island, petitioned our Public Service Commission to double their PV program budget. And the commission responded with a decision in only about 2 months, which I'm pretty sure is a record for the PSC. With the PSC's order, NYSERDA's annual solar budget went from about $54 million per year to $108 million per year. This is through 2015. And Frank will discuss details of the program offerings, but it includes what you may have heard yesterday, which is a $106 million competitive solicitation for large systems over 50 kilowatts. LIPA, which is a leading utility in the country on solar development, having supported more than 5,000 customer-sided installations and a greater than 30 megawatt solar array at Brookhaven National Lab, is continuing its standard offer rebate program for small to medium-sized projects, and their annual budget is roughly around $27 million at the current time. Under New York Sun, LIPA launched a 2-year pilot feed-in tariff program, offering 20-year power purchase agreements at 22 cents per kilowatt hour for up to 50 megawatts of solar. So combined with the NYSERDA and LIPA activities, what we're doing is trying to, again, marshal our institutional strengths, design the programs in a flexible way to serve the various markets. In Long Island, with high price of energy, a feed-in tariff seems to be more economic than perhaps other program designs. And with LIPA's foray into this space, and with NYSERDA's expansion to also support large-scale PV with competitive solicitations, New York over the next few years will have real-world data to compare program design, and over the several next years, we'll be able to tweak programs to maximize benefits to New York. And I'd like to point out that the success we've made in just the past few months to dramatically expand our solar programs have all been done administratively under existing legal authority. Some have argued, though, that we need a statutory program to provide longer-term and greater program certainty to developers. And we recognize that desire and need, and therefore, last legislative session, we actually simultaneously put forward a bill that would have, in effect, put in place the annual budgets that we were advancing administratively at NYSERDA and LIPA in place for over a 10-year period. Unfortunately, we did not reach agreement with the legislature this session, but we are going to continue to explore that option for the next legislative session. Also, as part of New York Sun, we are focusing on reducing the cost of solar so that we can reduce subsidies in the future and make solar more competitive. The New York Power Authority has approved $30 million for a solar market acceleration program, whereby they will collaborate with NYSERDA and LIPA to fund efforts that will reduce balance of system costs. The effort will focus on reducing the costs related to permitting, installation, and components other than the solar modules themselves, which can account for about half of the system costs. We've already made progress in this area over the years. LIPA, for example, has made major strides in standardizing permitting processes in local governments across Long Island. We're going to take that success statewide, working between NYSERDA and NYPA in the rest of state. And we're building on that success, and we're complementing also the great work underway here at SUNY Nanotech, which has received $50 million under the federal SunShot program for research that will reduce the cost of PV technology. And we are very grateful